Tales of Herding Gods, Episode 61. Qin Mu and his group finally escaped Lucon County, only to realize they had just escaped a wolf pack and fallen into a tiger's den. They were taken to Tenbua, a strategic military stronghold by the Eternal River, and even asked to summon a divine demon to aid in battle. Lucon City had been attacked by corpses resurrected by the Nine Nether Gate, catching them off guard. Qin Mu and the others escaped in the chaos. At the city gate, several Taoists were seen pushing sheets of yellow paper that floated in the air. These were remnants of the Poet Immortal sect. It seemed the Poet Immortal sect and the Nine Nether Gate had joined forces, one controlling corpses and the other controlling souls. Few soldiers in the city would likely escape. Shenwanan suggested crossing the river and destroying it, but Qin Mu shook his head, explaining there are many corpses in the river too. Just then, the sound of water came from the riverbank. In the black mist, resurrected corpses, dripping wet, walked ashore from the riverbed. Seeing them suddenly rush towards them, Qin Mu quickly declared, "Now we can only go to the southern border and look for an opportunity to return north later." As he spoke, a sword light flew out from his tout-eye bag, turning into a cloud arrow. The sword light spun, severing the heads of several approaching Nine Nether Gate disciples. These disciples became headless corpses, but then bent down, picked up their own heads, and charged at them. Qin Mu spread his 5 fingers and fiercely clenched. The sword light of the Xiao treasure sword immediately transformed into a circling arrow formation, spinning and cutting, shredding those Nine Nether Gate disciples. He then said in a deep voice, "Hurry." Rao Shi, Yun Ke, and the others were well-traveled and knowledgeable, but they had never seen such an evil spell. The group quickly ran into the darkness. Yun Ke looked back at Lucon, engulfed in flames, feeling a mix of fear and sorrow. "Go to the southern border? That's the enemy's lair," he exclaimed. The black mist grew thicker. They looked around, only to see the green mountains turn into hazy black mountains. Noisy sounds came from behind. Someone shouted, a few escaped. 3 men and 3 women, and a big lion. Others yelled, "Don't leave. Pick up my head. Come back quickly." Qin Mu's heart stirred, and he looked at Shenwanan. Shenwanan understood. A flying sword unsheathed from the sword sheath on his back, quickly digging a long hole in the ground. He lay down, fitting himself into it. Qin Mu flicked his sleeves, kicking up the nearby soil, burying Shenwanan under the dirt. The others continued forward. They hadn't gone far when several screams came from behind. "Someone is hiding in the dirt, ambushing us. My head was chopped off." "Who saw my head?" Qin Mu told the dragon Qilin to stop. Soon after, Shenwanan caught up. Just then, a faint singing sound came from the mist again. This singing was even more eerie than the one from the river earlier. Qin Mu told them to stop for a moment, and he stealthily crept forward. He discovered several corpses singing and casting spells, performing the 1,000 Souls chant in the dark mountain forest. Their bodies were tattered and ragged in the darkness, and their ritual was very strange. Qin Mu paused slightly, suddenly thinking of the Nine Nether Gates' divine arts. They seemed to have broken through the boundary between life and death. He wondered if such divine arts, researched to their extreme, could break the boundary of life and death and achieve eternal immortality. However, the Nine Nether Gates' divine arts were still far from being called eternal immortality. They merely drew the souls of the deceased from the underworld, allowing their souls to occupy their respective bodies. No wonder those corpses were also performing the 1,000 Souls chant. Qin Mu thought they must continuously perform the 1,000 Souls chant to keep them moving. He concluded, these few deceased have considerable cultivation. It's best to avoid them. Thinking this, he quietly retreated, guiding them in another direction. They hadn't gone far when they encountered another group of 9 Nether Gate disciples performing a ritual. There were also several disciples of the Poet Immortal sect, also controlling corpses. Qin Mu frowned and changed direction again. "Let's go to Lucon," he suggested. "The 9 Nether Gates' corpses are buried there. After resurrecting from there, they attacked the county town. That place must be empty." Everyone felt extremely nervous. In the darkness, there were people from the Nine Nether Gate and the Poet Immortal sect everywhere. The poet immortal sect had been eradicated by Yu Yuan, and it was estimated their corpses were also buried nearby. So, the 9 Nether Gate had resurrected them along with their own this time. They arrived at Lucon, and indeed, there was no one there. As long as they crossed this mountain and left the area covered by black mist, they would be temporarily safe. Who knew? Just then, a rhythmic chant came from the mountain again. Everyone grew nervous, looking at Qin Mu. Qin Mu frowned slightly and whispered, "This chant is wrong. It's not the Thousand Souls chant. It's another kind of spell." Qin Mu instructed everyone to stay there, and he quietly went to investigate. He arrived near the chanting sound and saw an altar in a mountain hollow ahead. On the altar, a dozen male and female Taoists were performing a ritual. The altar was built from individual skeletons, and its surface was paved with skulls, with white banners planted at each of the 4 corners, east, south, west, and north. On the white banners were runes written with blood mixed with cinnabar. In the center of the altar stood a statue of an 8-armed divine demon. This statue had one leg bent, with the other leg coiled around the bent leg's knee. Its 8 arms were clasped together in pairs, and it had 4 faces, each with 3 eyes. These male and female Taoists were each activating a talismanic artifact. As they chanted, the runes on the talismanic artifact's surface continuously lit up, shining precisely on the body of the divine demon statue. Each time a spot was illuminated, a rune on the divine demon statue would light up. The talismanic artifact continuously rotated, lighting up the runes on the statue one by one. At this moment, the runes on this divine demon statue had already been lit up. Suddenly, Qin Mu's heart trembled. Summoning ghosts and dispatching God's talisman self-command. It's a spell of the Hongshan sect. They are disciples of the Hongshan sect, which has already been annihilated. These dozen male and female Taoists were all divine arts practitioners. From the looks of it, they had been activating this secret spell, summoning ghosts and dispatching gods, for some time. Clearly, after the Hongshan sect was annihilated, they plotted a counterattack and had already joined forces with the 9 Nether Gate and the poet immortal sect. Qin Mu then connected this with the 9 Nether Gates attack, which happened precisely when the Grand Academician's heirs had just entered the area between Lizhou and Lushan. This indicated that someone had a clear grasp of the movements of the Grand Academician's heirs, even the event of their coming here. This time, the Grand Academician's heirs came out for training, and they were all elites from various realms. In the future, these heirs would become officials of the Yenkang nation, replacing the current batch of officials who came from various sects and aristocratic families. Most of the current officials belonged to the old era, while the Grand Academician's heirs belonged to the new era. If Qin Mu and their group of heirs were wiped out, then the Yenkang nation's new era would lose a core group of strength. Qin Mu's eyes flickered. After some thought, he realized that besides Gu Liman, only a few high-ranking first-grade officials knew about this matter. It seemed someone among them had already betrayed them. He really wanted to continue watching how these Hongshan sect disciples cast their spell to summon the divine demon. However, if this divine demon was successfully summoned, it would likely mean their death. Therefore, he quietly retreated and recounted what he had seen to Shinwanon and the others. There are 13 divine arts practitioners, and their abilities are not weak, Qin Mu explained. If they summon the divine demon, no one will be able to escape. We must eliminate them before they summon the divine demon and destroy the altar. Who dares to come with me to kill them? Yun Ke and Yuchi Hong were both startled. Kill divine arts practitioners? And 13 of them. For a moment, they hesitated to act. At this moment, Si Yunxiang said, I heard my elders say that the Hongshan sect specializes in soul-related spells. They are not skilled in sword arts or combat techniques. Back then, the Imperial Preceptor annihilated the Hongshan sect by leading a group of divine arts practitioners who cultivated sword arts. They attacked Hongshan and destroyed the sect. After the Hongshan sect was destroyed, the scattered disciples who remained outside cultivated. Their spells might not be orthodox, and their attainments in combat techniques and sword arts cannot be very profound. Qin Mu said, Good. The Imperial Preceptor used sword arts to kill them. Then we will use combat techniques. In sword arts, we can't compare to their spells. But in close combat, divine arts practitioners who cultivate spells won't have time to cast them and will be cut down by us. Wanin, Yunkei, Qihong, I've seen all your combat techniques. They are all quite good. Do you have the courage? Hearing this, Shen Wanin was the first to agree. Si Yunxiang and Yu Qihong were also very excited, wanting to try. Next, Qin Mu deployed the battle plan. The dragon Qilin and Hu Linger would create a disturbance, attracting the enemy's attention. He would lead the charge, being the first to rush out, surprising and killing the enemy. The others would then adapt to the situation and finish the battle quickly. At the mountain hollow, the 13 male and female Taoists were still activating their talismanic artifacts, continuously moving around the altar, chanting ceaselessly. Suddenly, Hu Linger jumped out from the bushes, while the dragon Qilin roared from behind, chasing after her. The 13 Taoists on the altar were startled, but seeing it was just a fox and the dragon Qilin, one Taoist laughed, "It's just a big lion hunting it." Before he finished speaking, a flash of blade light appeared, and Qin Mu had already ascended the altar. Holding 2 blades, heads rolled as 2 streaks of blade light, one horizontal and one vertical, appeared. The horizontal blade light severed the Taoist's head, while the vertical blade light cut down from another female Taoist's face. That female Taoist was a divine arts practitioner of the 6 Harmonies realm. Although she hadn't cultivated combat techniques, a gem strung on a golden chain hung in the middle of her forehead. It immediately shone brightly, blocking Qin Mu's strike. Qin Mu's blade struck the female Taoist, causing her head to bleed. Her vital energy erupted. The whisk in her other hand bloomed like countless stamens, its thousands of threads shooting towards Qin Mu. Her attack had just begun when countless blade lights engulfed her. Qin Mu's footsteps crisscrossed, dodging the thrusting whisk, and circled behind the female Taoist's body. Behind that female Taoist was another Taoist who had already come to his senses. From his magic pouch, sheets of yellow talisman paper flew out. But at this moment, Qin Mu discarded his 2 blades and pointed with joined fingers. His vital energy transformed into an incomparably sharp sword light, piercing through the Taoist's glabella. Behind Qin Mu, the dragon elephant soaring technique was unleashed. Yunkei performed the dragon elephant stomp, charging towards another female Taoist. With a loud bang, the female Taoist was slammed against the divine demon statue. She coughed up blood, and her vital energy erupted, sending him flying. Just as he was about to deliver the killing blow, a sudden flash of light and a blade pierced her throat. This female Taoist's vital energy was incredibly profound, and she actually used her vital energy to forcefully block the sword. But the next moment, Shen Wanun appeared beside her, grabbed the sword hilt, and unleashed all his strength, pressing her against the divine demon statue. He pulled the sword out with force and blood splattered. Lang Nu's figure flashed, leaping onto the head of the statue. 2 demonic blades appeared and disappeared, slashing downwards. Yu Qihong stood on Lang Nu's shoulder. From the sword sheath on his back, sharp swords flew out one by one, transforming into a drilling sword formation, stabbing towards a Taoist below. That Taoist, in return, grabbed a white banner stuck at the edge of the altar. The white banner vibrated, and the runes on the banner lit up. Like red monster snakes, they swam out from the banner, blocking the 2 demonic blades. However, Yu Qinghong's drilling sword formation pierced through the banner and drilled into his glabella. At the same time, Si Yunxiang on the other side moved like a ghost, continuously striking with a strange hand seal, shaking another female Taoist to death. Shen Wanyun's heart skipped a beat as he watched. Junior sister Si is truly formidable, he thought. Her cultivation is very powerful. He pounced towards another Taoist. That Taoist suddenly leaped off the altar and ran wildly. Behind him, sheets of yellow talisman paper flew in unison towards the altar. Shen Wanan rushed to chase. Suddenly, the yellow talisman papers exploded one after another, blasting him fiercely. On the other side, Yunkei also blocked the Taoist, performing the Great Stage Seal to block the Taoist's path. The Taoist sneered, spread his 5 fingers, and lightning erupted from his palm. It blasted Yun-Kei, leaving him disoriented. The Taoist felt relieved and said sternly, "A bunch of little brats who haven't even reached the 6 harmonies realm." He had just said this when he suddenly felt a chill in his back. He looked down to see a sword piercing through his chest. He hadn't noticed when the person behind him had approached at all. Qin Mu put away his sword. Yu Qi hung on the altar, Lang Nu and Si Yunxiang were about to kill the other Taoists. He circled around and saw corpses lying crisscrossed around the divine demon statue. The 3 of them were greatly encouraged. Si Yunxiang also had a solemn expression. She carefully examined each corpse. These corpses had all fallen victim to Qin Mu's deadly hand in an instant. Their divine arts had not even had time to be fully unleashed before they died. Although the 13 divine arts practitioners were not strong in close combat, divine arts practitioners were divine arts practitioners after all. Yet, Qin Mu had dealt with them in just a few moves. Qin Mu's combat power was simply too strong, his speed was simply too fast. Qin Mu sheathed his sword. He said, "Clear the battlefield. Immediately destroy the divine demon statue." But no sooner had he spoken than a loud boom came from not far away. In the black mist, blood-red light erupted, and terrifying power surged from another world. Where the blood-red light erupted in the air, rolling thunder followed. Lightning intertwined around the blood-red light. That was the lightning and thunder squeezed out of space by the terrifying power. When space is unstable, the lightning hidden within it will erupt. Everyone looked stunned. They saw a colossal figure, formed by the convergence of blood-red and lightning, slowly rising. It was a statue of a divine demon with horns on its head, with 4 arms and 4 legs. Although it was a statue, at this moment it was like a divine demon warrior, emitting a monstrous aura. This warrior divine demon was even taller than Lucon Mountain where they stood. Thick smoke billowed around its body, reaching the sky. Blood-red light hung above its head. Its divine arts practitioners from another Hongan sect location summoning a divine demon. Qin Mu's hands and feet turned cold. He hadn't expected that the Hongan sect divine arts practitioners at another location had succeeded in their spell, summoning the divine demon. That most majestic divine demon's gaze was like intertwined lightning and thunder. Wherever its gaze passed, all trees and rocks sizzled and turned to ashes. Qin Mu exhaled a turbid breath. He said in a deep voice, "Strip their clothes." Everyone was slightly startled, not quite understanding. Si Yunxiang understood and immediately began to strip the clothes off the corpses on the ground. The others finally understood and quickly stripped the clothes off the remaining few Hongan sect divine arts practitioners. Qin Mu also reminded them to pick up those white banners and talismanic artifacts for later use. After everyone was dressed, they saw the divine demon roaring towards the river, causing the eternal river to surge with towering waves. Everyone's expression changed drastically. The dragon Qilin rushed over. Qin Mu quickly said, "We must quickly retreat from this place. This is no longer a place where we, martial artists of this realm, can stand. Do you have anything else on you that can represent your identity as Grand Academician's heirs? Hand them all over to me." Yun-Kei took out his waist token and book token. Are we really going to the southern border to die?" he asked. Qin Mu collected everyone's waist tokens and book tokens, placing them in his Taodai bag. He said, "We're just taking a detour through the southern border, bypassing this battlefield and crossing the river. Once we reach the north bank of the river, we'll be safe." He exhaled a turbid breath, just about to give the order to leave. But then he saw the unfinished divine demon statue, and his heart stirred. He picked up the statue and tied it to the dragon Qilin. "Let's go to the south." Everyone's mood was heavy. They continued along the mountain path to the south. After walking about 10 li, they finally walked out of the black mist's range. Qin Mu looked back, seeing the black mist like an enormous black pot, covering both banks of the eternal river. Within the black mist stood a gigantic portal, connecting life and death, linking yin and yang. Who knows how many people will survive within it? Qin Mu thought to himself. Not long after, Qin Mu suddenly stopped. The army is coming. Everyone looked ahead, seeing dozens of tower ships sailing towards them. Flags fluttered on the ships. Around the tower ships, winged beasts flew in the air. Below the aerial army were rows of soldiers composed of martial artists and divine arts practitioners. Among the soldiers were gigantic beasts, like moving hills, taking steps that made the earth tremble. Qin Mu and the others stood aside, letting this army, rushing to the eternal river battlefield, pass. On one of the tower ships stood a general, his gaze like lightning, sweeping over Qin Mu and the others. He asked the general beside him, "Who are those people?" The general beside him glanced at Qin Mu and the others. "They look like disciples of the Hongan sect," he replied. "I'll go down and ask." This general leaped down from the tower ship, walking gracefully in the air, stepping from the air to stand before Qin Mu and the others. Everyone watched with pounding hearts. This was a grand master of the Seven Stars realm. Without treading the void, killing them would be effortless, without any trouble. That general glanced at the divine demon statue on the dragon Qilin's back and said coldly, "Hongshan sect disciples fleeing without fighting. What crime is that?" Qin Mu bowed deeply, neither humble nor arrogant, and said, "Our Hongshan sect has experienced. We have already summoned a divine demon to aid in battle. Not only are we not guilty, but we have merit." The general snorted coldly. "But you escaped from the battlefield. That is a capital offense. You should be beheaded on the spot." Qin Mu's face was filled with grief and indignation. He said defiantly, "We were ambushed by Liz Ho. Out of 13 brothers and sisters, 7 died in battle. Only 6 of us are left. Where were you when we were fighting for our lives? Our Hongshan sect has already been annihilated. Only we are left. Do you want us all to die there? General, please leave some roots for our Hongshan sect." That general hesitated and looked up. The general on the tower ship in the air said in a deep voice, "The Hongshan sect's population is already very small. There's no need to pursue it excessively. They summoned a divine demon to aid in battle, which is a great merit. Let them perform a spell to verify their identity, then let them leave." Shenhuanan, Yun Ke, and the others broke out in a cold sweat. The Hongshan sect spells. They haven't cultivated any of them, they thought. Qin Mu activated a talismanic artifact. The general's voice came, "Not the talismanic artifact. It's the spell." Qin Mu then circulated his vital energy. His vital energy transformed into a rune, shining on the divine demon statue. A rune on the divine demon statue lit up. That general bowed and said, "General Xiao, it is indeed the Hongshan sects, summoning ghosts and dispatching God's talisman self-command. That general waved his hand, "Let them go. The army advances. Conquer Lizhou." "Wait." General Xiao's gaze fell on Qin Mu and the others again. A smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. "Send them to Tenbua City. Have them summon a divine demon there as well." Hearing this, Qin Mu and the others' expressions changed slightly. They instinctively felt they had just escaped the wolf pack only to fall into the tiger's den. General Xiao smiled and said, "The Hongshan sects summoning ghosts and dispatching God's talisman self-command is indeed powerful. Tenbua City is also attacking the opposite bank. If there is a divine demon to assist, the Tenbua City soldiers will suffer far fewer casualties. Lin Ding, you go with them." That general quickly agreed. General Xiao waved his hand, telling the army to continue advancing. After the army had passed, that general, Lin Ding, said with a smile, "Junior brothers, let's head to Tenbua City." Qin Mu's expression was normal, and he responded. For the rest of the journey, Qin Mu feigned calmness, and even took the opportunity to inquire about Commander Lin Ding's cultivation. Lin Ding stated that he was at the peak of the Seven Stars realm. He wanted to cultivate to the heavenly human realm, but had always found it difficult to make progress. However, with the world in chaos now, at a time of rectifying the imperial court, perhaps I can seize this opportunity to make a breakthrough, Lin Ding explained. Because when strong individuals contend and ideologies clash, all kinds of divine arts and spells emerge endlessly. The pressure from powerful individuals and the pressure of life and death will make you strive forward. For example, the summoning ghosts and dispatching God's talisman self-command. In peaceful times, who would perform such a spell? The more chaotic the war, the more opportunities there are to perform it. Only then can there be progress. Shenhuanun and the others felt his words made a lot of sense. This time, the obscure spell summoning ghosts and dispatching God's talisman's self-command truly broadened their horizons. After the Hongshan sect was annihilated, the surviving disciples were still able to summon a divine demon to aid in battle. And how astonishing was the combat power of that divine demon! A mere inconspicuous spell could unleash such astonishing power. It truly shocked them. And the Thousand Souls chant was also an inconspicuous spell. In terms of spell power, there were tens of thousands of spells in the Heavenly Road Tower. The power of divine arts far surpassed these two inconspicuous spells. But it was precisely the Thousand Souls chant, this kind of seemingly low-level spell, that directly changed the course of the battle. It made a powerful border official like Yu Yuan suffer a great loss. Liho was hard to defend. The Thousand Souls chant and summoning ghosts and dispatching God's talisman self-command had no inherent power, but when used in the right place, the power these obscure spells could unleash surpassed 1,000 armies and 10,000 horses. Although Commander Lin Ding was from an opposing force, his vision and knowledge surpassed theirs. And his strength was also greater than theirs. If he discovered any clues along the way, they would likely all die without a burial place. Qin Mu was also secretly calculating in his heart whether he could eliminate this Grand Master of the Seven Stars realm. After thinking it over, he felt the chances of success were very slim. After walking for more than 10 li, they suddenly heard shouts of battle from ahead. It's a group of mountain bandits. The leader of these mountain bandits was a divine arts practitioner. The others were all martial artists and martial masters. Everyone was about to engage in battle. Commander Lin Ding smiled and said, "No worries. Just petty thieves. Let them come." Those mountain bandits charged at them. Commander Lin Ding raised his hand and unleashed a seal. Lightning erupted from his palm. A white light flashed, and the bodies of those dozen mountain bandits instantly exploded. The leading divine arts practitioner also exploded in midair, dying a violent death. Qin Mu's heart skipped a beat. The palm thunder of the combat technique school. He immediately felt it was tricky. Against a strong practitioner of the combat technique school, sneak attacks were almost useless. The few of them were all martial masters of the martial demon realm. Even if they launched a combined sneak attack, it would only tickle Commander Lin Ding. It would be difficult to harm him. His heart felt uneasy. The few of them could only continue following Commander Lin Ding towards Tenbua City. Afterwards, Qin Mu again inquired from Lin Ding about the origins of General Xiao. General Xiao was originally the crown prince of Suani Nation. After Suani Nation was annexed by Yan Qing, the emperor was in theft as a king with a different surname, and General Xiao was in theft as Prince Xiao. Now, the Yan Qing imperial preceptor's reforms were causing chaos in the world, which gave General Xiao an opportunity to restore his nation. As they chatted, Tenbua City was already in sight. They saw mountains standing along the banks of the eternal river ahead. The mountains forced the eternal river to flow around them. Tenbua City was built among the mountains that jutted into the river. Below the city were cliffs and precipices. The eternal river became turbulent here. Towering waves crashed against the cliffs, making an earth-shattering roar. Waves slapped the clouds, reaching straight into the sky. This was the origin of Tenbua City's name. Tenbua City was now filled with rebel cavalry. They faced the Yan Qing nation's army across the river. The entire area. Commander Lin Ding brought them to Tenbua City. He said, "The one guarding this place is a cult master-level existence. You've heard of the Dragon King of the Imperial Dragon Gate, right? Although the Dragon King's abilities are not exceptionally high, the Flood Dragon he raised can easily kill powerful individuals of the life and death realm. Right now, ahead is Dragon Jiaonan, the Dragon King's son." The gate guard of Tenbua City was a flamboyant man wearing a colorful robe, with rouge and powder on his face. He was very eye-catching. It was none other than Dragon Jiaonan, the young sect master of the Imperial Dragon Gate. Commander Lin Ding led Qin Mu and the others forward to inquire. Dragon Jiaonan greeted him. Suddenly, he saw Qin Mu and couldn't help but be slightly startled. I seem to have seen this person somewhere before, he mused. Qin Mu's heart tightened. He bowed his head in greeting. When he traveled to and from the capital, he and Wei Yong took a tower ship from Jiangling to the capital. Dragon Jiao Nan rode a swift python, flying in midair, killing everyone on the ship, leaving only him and Wei Yong to escape with their lives. In the haste, Dragon Jiao Nan might have seen his face. Commander Lin Ding introduced, "These are disciples of the Hongan sect. They summoned a divine demon in Lucon. Therefore, General Shia wants them to perform a ritual in Tenbua city as well, to summon a divine demon to aid in battle." Dragon Jiao Nan couldn't remember where he had seen Qin Mu. His eyes lit up. He giggled, "Summoning a divine demon? This sounds fun. What magical artifacts do you need? I'll prepare them for you." Qin Mu quickly said, "We only need a bone altar, 3 zhang and 6 qi long, 3 zhang and 6 qi wide, built from skeletons. The altar surface should be paved flat with skulls. The eye sockets of these skulls must face upwards. No carelessness allowed." "How troublesome," Dragon Jiaonan said with a charming smile. "But in chaotic times, there are plenty of corpses and bones. Wait a moment. I'll have someone prepare the altar. If there aren't enough bones, we'll just kill some people to make up the number." Qin Mu then said, "When we perform the secret spell, we cannot be disturbed. So, General Long." Dragon Jiaonan winked at him. Qin Mu's skin crawled with goosebumps. Dragon Jiaonan smiled and said, "I understand. You can rest assured. I'll have the soldiers guard outside the altar." Not long after, Dragon Jiaonan had already ordered his subordinates to build a bone altar in Tenbua city. Dragon Jiaonan dismissed the surrounding soldiers, having people guard the perimeter and not allowing anyone to watch. Qin Mu and the others performed the ritual. Qin Mu secretly looked around, seeing 100 or so soldiers guarding outside. It would be difficult to leave. On the altar, everyone looked at Qin Mu. Shenwanan whispered, "What do we do? We're now deep in the dragon's den. Uncle Master Qin, you make a decision." He was finally willing to change his address for Qin Mu to Uncle Master. Qin Mu said in a deep voice, "Of course, we perform the ritual to summon the divine demon." "Invite the divine demon here." Yun Ke was startled. He said in a low voice, "We haven't learned the Hongshan sect spells. How can we summon a divine demon?" "I have," Qin Mu said. As he spoke, he moved the divine demon statue onto the altar and planted the 4 white banners at the 4 corners. "Next, I will summon the divine demon. The Hongshan sect uses 13 people to perform this spell. However, I think one person can also perform it. It's just a little more troublesome." Yun Ke hesitated and said, "If we summon a divine demon to slaughter the Yenkang nation's army, we will all be executed along with our 9 generations of relatives." "Don't worry, there must be some trick to summoning a divine demon," Qin Mu reassured him. "It's impossible for the divine demon to attack indiscriminately. Otherwise, even the summoner would die." Qin Mu's eyes flickered. He exhaled a turbid breath. "If we summon the divine demon and have it attack Tenbua city, I think we can seize the chaos to break out. You all guard the surroundings and watch for any movement. I will perform the ritual." Everyone quickly guarded the altar's perimeter. Qin Mu took out the talismanic artifact and looked over the 1024 runes on its surface, memorizing them. Then he looked at the runes on the divine demon statue, comparing them one by one. After a moment of contemplation, he began the ritual. His vital energy surged. His vital energy threads lifted the 13 talismanic artifacts into the air, circling around the divine demon statue. From his nasal cavity and mouth came obscure and ancient words. His vital energy began to activate the talismanic artifacts, causing them to change, making the runes on the talismanic artifacts light up one by one, shining on the divine demon statue, lighting up the runes engraved all over the divine demon statue. Shenwanun and the others felt surprised, watching carefully. Simultaneously manipulating 13 talismanic artifacts required memorizing many types of runes and their positions. Although Qin Mu had not yet fully learned the Tai Xian calculation scripture, he had made significant progress in memory ability. He controlled them calmly and unhurriedly. After about half an hour, The runes on this divine demon statue were more than half lit up by Qin Mu. At the same time, he chanted demonic incantations, instinctively feeling that through this statue, he was gradually establishing contact with a certain existence in another dark world deep within space-time. And just at the city gate, a dozen Taoists, carrying another divine demon statue, also arrived at Tenbua City. When they heard Commander Lin Ding say that several of their fellow disciples were summoning a divine demon in the city lord's mansion, those few Hongan sect Taoists were greatly alarmed. "Junior brothers and sisters, this general doesn't know," one of them explained. "Our Hongan sect disciples were divided into two groups. We summoned a god in Lucon. We fortunately succeeded in summoning a divine demon. But the other group of disciples all fell victim to a deadly hand. The divine demon statue and talismanic artifacts were all stolen. Even their clothes were stripped off." Commander Lin Ding's expression changed drastically. Listening to the faint chanting coming from the city lord's mansion, one Taoist said coldly, "This is bad. The person who is summoning the divine demon has already established contact with a divine demon from the demon realm. Let's hurry over." Lin Ding's eyelids twitched. He quickly rushed towards the city lord's mansion like a madman. At the same time, he said sternly, "Young sect master, quickly give the order. Execute those demonic Taoists in the city lord's mansion." Okay, that's all the content for this video. If you enjoyed it, please don't hesitate to like, share, and subscribe. After all, your support is my motivation to keep creating content. I'm Qin Mu. See you in the next video.